What's going on, guys? This is Rob. If you guys enjoy my content, make sure you hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that little bell so you never miss out on my sexy voice. Okay, so this is one of the best Batman stories that I have ever read. Like, Batman White Knight is insanely good. And I've been saying that since this first issue came out. Like, the first issue came out, I checked it out, I was already hyped for it because I was like, dude, this looks cool. And I was reading the solicitations and all that kind of stuff, and I was like, okay, I need to check this out. So I was already excited. Then the comic gets released, Sean Murphy's the one who's writing it, and I'm just like, dude, this is incredibly good. It's insanely good. All right, so what this does is this picks up about 1 year before the present day. Now, one thing to bear in mind is that Batman the White Knight is not in continuity, meaning this has no ties to DC Rebirth other than the fact that it's published at the same time that DC's doing DC Rebirth. It may be that because this is such a high profile and such a popular story that you'll see it later on down the line, but for right now, you can just imagine this story is totally isolated and takes place in a whole different universe from what's going on in DC Comics right now. But this picks up about a year before the current day, and it's just a stereotypical Batman-Joker conflict. They're just kind of chasing after each other. I mean, that's the nature of Batman and Joker, right? I mean, they're kind of like the yin and yang. Because of the fact that this goes in your stereotypical fashion of a Batman-Joker escapade, it's basically like just running throughout the entire city of Joker. Like, Batman's chasing Joker over rooftops, things like that. Joker's riding a scooter. I mean, that's really about it. It's kind of silly and it's kind of nonsensical, but something I want you to notice is that Batman seems to be going to extremes and he seems reckless here. I mean, right off the bat, this does not seem like something we would normally see Batman do. So the indication is that Batman's in a state of desperation, but he's got Batgirl along with him. He's got Nightwing riding on a motorcycle. Batman's doing things like, again, riding over rooftops, crashing into cement trucks with the Batmobile, all for the purpose of like trying to find the Joker. He's basically like disregarding virtually all safety protocols. Now, once Batman catches up to the Joker, again, it's just kind of at least it seems like a pretty straightforward fight. But for the most part, the Joker just kind of leads Batman into this sort of ruse where he just kind of, is like, catch me if you can find me, so on and so forth. But the fight is pretty intense and it's pretty hardcore because what you end up having here is in this battle, the Joker actually makes this really interesting case to Batman. And what he basically says is that they are created to be the same thing. What they stand for is designed to be the exact same thing. Batman stands for love, the Joker stands for hate. They're kind of like in this interesting, yin and yang intertwined scenario because one can't live without the other. But when Batman's facing off against him, when he's literally like wrecking the Joker, what Joker says is he led him to this location with all these cops following, with Barbara Gordon and with Dick Grayson watching all this unfold, and he brought a bottle of pills. And these pills, the Joker says, if I take these, then I'll finally be able to show you everything that I see. And what the Joker sees is a city that's basically sick, and the Joker believes he can fix it. And so where Batman in his recklessness grabs the pills, he forces them down the throat of the Joker. And this is crazy because the entire thing had been recorded by a member of the press, which in turn was publicly leaked. And this is where things really begin to go awry, because what you end up having is the city of Gotham, which is kind of split in half. On one side, you have people who say, yeah, I mean, the Joker took the lives of others, but the Joker still has rights, i.e., if the Joker goes through the judicial system and the Joker's found to be not guilty, then it's okay to sacrifice future people because the Joker deserves to live. The people that he killed don't really matter here. Whereas you have other people who say, no, the Joker killed people, he deserves to die. No questions asked. And so you very much have like this huge rift within the city of Gotham. And it stems in every conceivable way. I mean, Batman beat the Joker to a pulp. So you literally have Batman on camera beating the Joker within an inch of his life and then forcing a handful of pills, which no one knows what they will do, down the throat of the Joker. You have the police department fighting amongst one another. The same rift exists here. That's the question I would pose to you guys. Does the Joker still have the right to stand trial? Or did he basically abandon that right? Did he give up that right when he willingly killed so many people? That's the question I'm kind of asking you guys. Where do you draw the line? How many lives are you willing to sacrifice before you finally say, enough is enough? The Joker can't kill anybody else anymore. That's the kind of scenario that's being put here to the city of Gotham, and that's the kind of question that I'm putting to you guys. But what ends up happening is where Commissioner Gordon initially takes the side of Batman, says, look, sure, Batman's done shady things. Sure, Batman has broken the rules or bent the rules in order to basically get the criminals. But at the end of the day, he drops them off on our doorstep. He gives us the evidence. And so what that does is it throws them in the hands of the justice system so they still go through the entire proceedings. It's just the manner by which they were caught may have been a little bit illegitimate. But at the end of the day, Commissioner Gordon's concern is not necessarily for the Joker, it's for what happens next. And so what we do is we get this brief little panel where the Joker just wakes up in his cell, surrounded by Batman paraphernalia. Something else I also want you guys to notice too, one of the posters here is actually from Batman the Animated Series, which is really cool. So kudos to DC for throwing that in there. But what we end up doing is picking up with Bruce when he's met with the arrival of Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon. And again, they recognize the fact that Batman is acting pretty extreme here. Now, again, under normal circumstances, we would look at this and we would say, this is not how Batman works. He's clearly written out of character here. But this is when we start to get the other side of the equation. This is where we realize that we've basically been jumping to conclusions the entire time without ever really knowing what's going on. And so picking up with Bruce Wayne, when he leads Barbara Gordon and Dick Grayson down into the basement of this building, we end up finding out that Alfred is basically dying, and he's been this way for about a month. And so Bruce's recklessness, the fact that he's going to such extremes and he's taking such a heavy hand when it comes to villains, is for a couple different reasons. One, because he's forced to work with Mr. Freeze to basically put Alfred on ice until a cure can be found so that he can be brought back from whatever's killing him. And then at the same time, he's literally stressed and desperate. So he's been pushed to his wit's end, and he's just kind of at this point where enough is enough. And that's what led to him being so extreme. And so at this point, we jump back to the Joker. And this is when things get really cool. One thing I want you to notice here is that Sean Murphy doesn't really give us like a traditional origin of the Joker. We know his name is Jack Napier from like the original 1989 Batman movie, but this is cool because what he does is he sits down and says that basically he was raised on a farm. Like he was not really raised in Gotham City proper, but he was told Gotham City is like the city of lights. And so it's very much a tale of discovery. Like the Joker is a stand-in for like Oliver Twist, for example, leaving the workhouse, leaving the Undertakers, taking off saying, I'm gonna go to the city of London, the great big city in the sky, and then coming across a kid named Jack Dawson. Jack Dawson says his name's the Dodger. He takes Oliver to meet, Mr. Fagan, and then ultimately Oliver's trained to be a pickpocket, realizing that London's not everything he thought it was until he meets Mr. Brownlow. That's the whole thing about this. The Joker believed, like almost everybody believes, the land of lights, the land of Lala, for LA. This idea that if he goes to Gotham City, he'll have this better life. He tried to get into comedy, but the biggest problem with Gotham was that it was a city that was so lost. It was a city where the people had given up to such an extreme that no one could ever really find any happiness there. It was quite literally a city of sorrows. And so with the Joker doing that, in turn, he tried to get a rise out of people and turned to terror, turned to crime, and became the Joker. That's really kind of how Jack Napier turned all this. But the whole idea is that when he basically turned to a life of crime, he discovered Batman. Batman was able to instill in the city of Gotham some small measure of hope, that the city of Gotham could be better than a place that was just run and dominated by criminals. And the result is that the Joker saw what Batman was doing, able to get a rise out of people in such a fashion, and begin to somewhat identify with him in the sense that they both ultimately had the same goal. They were trying to make the city a quote-unquote better place. The indication here is the Joker's message was lost in the conflict and Batman's wasn't. But regardless of how all this goes down, what we end up doing is picking up with downtown Gotham City, only for us to find out these pills that he had taken had basically made him sane. They made him a reasonable human being. He's not crazy anymore. He hasn't lost his mind anymore. Instead, what goes on here is that when the evidence is brought to those in power, they're basically told he's perfectly reasonable. Like his mental health is at 100%. And where questions are asked as to whether or not this is possible, if he's faking it, the answer that's given is you can't fake a CAT scan. This is legit. The Joker is normal. And so when the other question is asked, what's he doing right now? The answer is he's working on his legal case. He's going to file charges against the Gotham City Police Department, Batman, and Gotham City. He's literally taking everyone to court. And so what we end up doing is picking up with the Joker when he's met with the arrival of the Gotham City Police Department, who actually try to implement some pretty underhanded tactics to try to like force him in a position to where he has to accept responsibility for his actions. But notice this. This is what's so genius about this. The Joker sits down and the Joker says, I'm not guilty of anything. I'm not guilty of anything at all. Every ounce of destruction that took place in this scenario was because of Batman. It was Batman who's driving an unlicensed weaponized tank. It's Batman who was driving it over rooftops. It was Batman who injured 3 people when he hit a cement truck. It's Batman who knocked over a guard. It's Batman who almost beat me within an inch of my life. And it was Batman who forced pills down my throat. I was riding a scooter and I hadn't actually killed anybody. What you as Gotham City Police Department have done is you've sanctioned a vigilante who's taken the law into his own hands and then in turn said, we don't see a problem here. But it's only now that somebody raises a red flag when somebody blows the whistle and says, actually there is a problem and I have the legal case to prove it, that suddenly you want to step up and you want to try to apply some underhanded tactics. Now when Commissioner Gordon steps in and he basically says, no, Batman is not the Gotham City Police Department. He does not speak for us. The Joker's response is, actually he does, because you have a bat signal and that bat signal sits on top of the Gotham City Police Department building and you use it whenever you want to get a hold of him. You sanction this man. Gotham City has failed. The Gotham City government has failed in stopping crime. You, as the commissioner of the police department and your police department have failed at stopping crime. Batman has failed at stopping crime. You guys are basically pointless here. And so if you won't save the city of Gotham, if you won't get off your asses and do what you're supposed to, then I will. I will save the city of Gotham. Game, set, match. With that being said, guys, we're gonna bring this video to an end. If you are new here to Comics Explained, make sure you guys hit the sub button to become part of the Rob Corps. If you guys enjoy this video, make sure you drop a like, and I will catch you all later. Peace.